Let's get started. Let's get started. What's your preferred coding language? We can change that. You can do whatever.
Python, I think. Yeah,
Python's good.
Python. Yeah.
Python's good. Okay, great, great, great. And then let me get started on my side. Let me see. What is this? Let me just take a look. Okay, cool. Then let's get right into it. So today we're gonna be doing a. Sorry. So today we're gonna be doing a mock interview, as you may know. It's gonna be about an hour long. Okay, so right now it's 12. We're gonna go until 1. Wait, are you
Okay.
Alberta time zone?
Yeah, so
Okay,
right now
so
it's
it's a
one
1.
for
It's gonna
me.
go into 2. Okay, okay, no problem. Right. It's gonna be the time's gonna be the same as a real interview, but the format will be different. Right. So we won't do introductions here. We'll just get right into it, and
Okay.
we're gonna go for about 45 minutes. Coding time, right? 45 to 50
Okay.
minutes coding time. Okay, and
Yeah.
because this is collaborative, I'll help you keep time. All right.
Okay.
and then at the end we'll have 5, 10, 50 minutes, whatever it is, of like discussion, and that's where you can ask me questions. You can ask me questions about just interviewing in general, about the specific questions we asked today, or like anything of that sort. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So let's get into it. So for this problem, I'm gonna read out the description, and you can take notes. Just write in the IDE as you like, and feel free to clarify any questions you might have. So just stop me whenever you need.
Yeah.
Okay. So for this problem, I would like you to write me a function called merge intervals. Okay.
Okay.
And this function is going to take in a list of intervals. Okay.
Okay.
And it's going to merge the overlapping intervals and return a list of non-overlapping intervals.
Okay.
That's the problem.
Is that it?
Yep.
Okay. Well,
You're free to
are
ask
the
any
intervals
clarifications.
open or closed?
The intervals are all closed.
Okay. What format would the intervals be given in?
So we can do them as a pairs. So tuples of starting and endpoints.
Mm-hmm. Oh, would the start point always be less than or equal to the endpoint?
No, not necessarily.
Okay. Wait, so how would you? Okay. So the first element will always be the start point.
Yes, the first element will be the start point, but the intervals
Okay.
can quote unquote go backwards.
Okay. So okay. Problem is to just take in like a list of these tuples and then return a single list from where it starts to where it ends.
Well, you're gonna try to we're gonna return a like another list of tuples, like a list of intervals, right? But the list of intervals that you
Okay.
return will not have any overlapping intervals, right? Because all the ones that were overlapping you have merged together. Does that make sense?
Yeah, can you repeat that again?
Yeah, no worries. So the input list of intervals can have
Yeah.
intervals that overlap,
Yeah.
right? But your goal is to merge the ones that overlap,
Okay.
so they become one interval,
Okay.
right? And you do that until there are no more overlapping intervals.
Okay.
And so when you return a list of interval, there's no more overlapping intervals anymore, right? Because if they were
Okay.
overlapping, you would have combined them.
Okay. Okay, so I guess my first thought would just be to just take the first element and then store it into some sort of array and then like, do I even sort here? I don't think I sort. Um,
Maybe it helped to kind of just start with some examples, right? So why don't you
okay.
just draw out a basic case, and then anything. Well, you can draw it out or type it. That's fine. I can follow you. No worries.
Okay, I'm gonna draw it
Yeah,
out
that's
then.
cool. That's cool.
So I guess like one case could be like 1, 3, and then 2, 4. So in this case, would it, let's say the simple case,
Yep.
would it just have to return like one, what is it? So these two overlap. Well, only 2 and 3 are overlapping here.
Mm-hmm.
So then what would it return, like 1, 3? Or no?
So in this case, you return 1, 4, right? The
1,
reason you return
4,
one
okay.
four is because the union of these two intervals is 1 to 4.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, so what is it? So their intersection can't be empty.
That's right. Their intersection can't be empty.
Okay, okay. So if I go down here and do like something like 1, 5, and then do like 6 to 7, then I just return like this set or this array back because there's no overlap between them.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, okay. Um, okay.
Yeah. How about the
I've a lot.
case? Sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I have a lot of ideas in my head. Like maybe we can check that these like endpoints are within each other. Like let's say this first one is
Yeah.
within this last endpoint, then obviously this one has to go into that. So then you can just take these two and just combine them to a new interval.
Yeah. That's true. Do you want to draw a case where the interval goes backwards, for example?
Yeah, okay, that's right. That's like the second edge case, I guess. 10, 6, and then let's do one where it's included. So it's like something like this. Let's go. Okay, wait, no, this is not included. Okay, 7, 3. How about that? So this goes from 3 to 7, and this one goes from 6 to 10.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, yeah. I see what you mean now. So we have to take the bigger elements, or okay, bigger of the two. So with these two, okay, so there's also a possibility these two are identical, right?
Yeah, that's a valid interval. Yeah.
Okay, and then okay, so you just take like the max of them, and then compare it if whether. Okay. I think I see a problem here, is because if you take the max, then it's like it's not necessarily within. I don't think.
Well, first
'Cause
of all,
let's say
what's
this
the
one was
answer?
like 8, yeah. Oh well, okay. Well, the answer is 3. Oh, can I return these in an order?
You can determine any order. Intervals do not care about the
Okay.
order of the endpoints.
Yeah, so that's
Yeah.
the correct answer, 3, 10.
Yeah. Okay, and you had a train of thought there about taking the max. What was that about?
Taking the max. Well, that would be the last endpoint.
Okay.
I think drawing a number line would actually help here. So,
Sure, go for it.
what's this? 3. This is 1, and then there's another one, 6 to 10. Trying to see a pattern here.
Mm-hmm.
So I think okay, so maybe like these two have to be like next to each other. So let's just draw like a case where like they're not next to each other. So let's say like 3 and 4, 7 and 10. Okay, so these two aren't next to each other.
But do they have to be next to each other though?
No. Okay. 10.
Right. Like if you had the interval, if you had the interval like 3, 7 and 4, 10,
Yeah.
the 4 and 7 aren't next to each other, but this is still overlapping, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this would still be combined. I did like your train of thought for taking the max of something though, right? Like you
Yeah, because
still
that's how you
like
get the endpoint. Yeah.
yes, that's how you get the two endpoints, the max and the min. But how you compare two intervals also does matter, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
like in one case, if you look at this bottom case that we just drew, um, the 3, 7 and 4, 10, the max and the min, like so the if you think about the min of 4, 10 and the max of 3, 7 intersect, right? In other words, the minimum of 4, 10 is less than the maximum
4.
of 3, 7.
Well, the maximum 3 of 7 is 7, right?
Right.
Okay, so yeah, it is less.
Yeah. And so if that condition is met, then we want to merge them, right? Because like that's what it means to merge is that there's overlap,
Okay.
right?
So I guess we go back to this above case. It's like what was it? 6 and 10,
Yeah.
and then so then the max of well, sorry, what did you say again? Was it the max of these two?
So the higher interval you want to take the minimum
Yeah.
of, and the lower interval you want to take the maximum of, right? Or and vice versa. So we have, if I
Okay.
just draw on the right here, right? So we have A equals, let's call it 610, right? And B equals 37, right? Now, in real life or in the real problem, you can't tell ahead of time if A is going to be the bigger interval, is a higher interval, or A is going to be a smaller interval, right?
Mm-hmm.
But without loss of generality, we can just assign it so that A is the bigger one for now. Okay. So what
Okay.
it means to overlap is that the higher interval, the interval with the higher maximum number, essentially,
Mm-hmm.
the lower point has to be less than the higher point of the lower interval.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Okay.
Okay. So then I guess then with code, it's like you take the min. As we were like looping through the intervals, I guess.
So for this problem, it also might be
I guess.
helpful to have a bit of like a pre-processing step, right? Like in our case, like in their case, like
Oops.
we wrote the interval such that they're always like lower to higher,
Yeah.
but that's not going to be necessarily given the case. So I think just to kind of establish the ground rules there, I think it might be helpful um, to transform per se the intervals so that they're always lower to higher.
I guess you can sort them by the lower one.
Well, we can start them by the lower one too, or we can just swap them. Right? It's only two elements.
Okay. Right. Right. So as you're going through the list, you can like swap the two
If they're
depending
in the
on
wrong
which one
order.
is
Yeah.
lower. Yeah.
And that way
So
you
just
can
take the min of.
go ahead.
Sorry, you go ahead.
No, it's all yours.
Okay. Well, I was gonna say take the min of both these and then see which one's lower, and then this one would be the lower interval, and after that you just compare these two. So then you take the min of this, and then this one B would be the lower interval, and then this one would be the higher. So then with the higher one, you take the min, so the one we just got, and then you take the max, and then you compare if 6 is less than or equal to 7.
Yes.
And then
That
if
well
it
that
is, then you would be an interval, or an overlapping interval, yeah.
yes, that's definitely one way to do it. But notice here that you're choosing to compare A and B explicitly, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the real problem, A and B might not be next to each other in the list.
Right.
Do you have any thoughts about that?
Yeah, well, my first thought was just like loop through the array twice then to just like check out every single one, and then
Okay.
after you do find one that does overlap, you can like merge them into the new list. But then you could be missing other stuff then. Can you? I don't know.
I mean, if you can miss other stuff, I mean, if you only loop over
Like
it
let's see,
twice, do you mean for the entire problem, or do you mean twice per interval?
like twice per interval pretty much
Yeah,
like
twice per interval. I mean, that way you're guaranteed to compare every two interval, right? Every pair of intervals, you're guaranteed to compare
yeah.
them. So then you won't miss anything.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you won't miss anything. Yeah, that's probably like the brute force solution there.
We can always start with that if you can't think of something else and just try to nail down the implementation.
Okay. Yeah, let's just get started then. Then for interval, so we go through each interval and then we take the one next to it, do we? Okay, I'm just thinking this through right now. So we take So for each interval, we take the one right next to it, and then we compare that. Okay. Then what is it? I to the end of the list, and then okay. So once we're at this step, we can do what's it? High and then lower. Okay. This step we take the lower one first, so then you compare the two mins. Okay, let's do this for now, I guess. We just assign the higher one to be the first one for now, and then
Okay,
we do the lower one for the next one.
that's cool. Yeah.
And then, okay, and then we have to compare these. Then if let's just swap them if they're the okay. So I gotta think this through again. So we have to swap them if the what was it? So the higher one was the last one, and then let's just swap higher and lower if the higher one has less.
Okay.
I'm not sure if this works.
Yeah, that gets the minimum of
I think I think that should work.
Yep.
It's higher than and you just swap the two.
Okay, so we're saying here is that if the lowest value, if you compare the lowest value, you want to make sure that the higher has a higher low value than the lower. Okay?
My God, that this rest of the code is like so. It's like
Right, so
kind of
let's
over
so
the place
so
for the
so
higher
let's
lower.
yeah, so let's draw the case here, right? So let's say for example the higher is 3.7 and this is no, that's not what we wrote, right? Did we wrote that? No, we wrote 3.10. Did we? I forgot.
We wrote 610 for higher,
Okay.
but I guess
Okay,
do you want to
6.
consider the case where higher is lower?
Yeah, let's do 3.7, 6.10. Right. So let's say this is so let's say this is how it's assigned, right? Can you walk me through the logic
Mm-hmm.
here? So first of all, is this assigned correctly?
No, you want to swap these two
Okay,
because
you want to swap
higher
it.
should be lower.
Okay, so then tell me
Yeah.
how your logic works. So then what?
Then if like the minimum minimum value for this higher is less than the minimum of the lower, then
Yeah.
you just want to swap the two. So you reassign higher to lower and
Yes,
then
but
lower to higher.
is this condition met? So right. So first of all, we have this is the minimum higher, that's 3, and this is 6.
Uh-huh.
Right. So that's
Yeah.
that then it's met, and so we'll swap them.
Yeah.
Okay, that
Yeah.
makes sense. So at this point, we'll have yeah. So this is we'll swapped. Okay, so we'll swap them out. Okay, great. Now what?
Okay, after that, then we would want to check the minimum of the higher
Okay.
and then compare it to the max of the lower. And if they do intersect, then we want to add that
Okay.
to. Okay. Okay, here's the thing though. I'm not sure if I wanted to add it to like a result array or like just change it in place of the original array. I feel like if you do change it in place, that might make it easier to check for next ones. But then yeah, which one would you modify in place if you were to do it in place?
I mean, you
So
can.
I don't.
It doesn't really matter which one you want to modify. I would say since you're in this context, you're basically trying to merge intervals. Like first of all, you don't even know if you're gonna merge intervals yet, right? Like you don't know at this point. You don't
Mhm.
know if they're overlapping. That's the first thing I'm gonna say,
Yeah.
right? So first of all is you need a condition to check if you actually are going to merge these two, right? That's the first thing. But to answer your question, right? Like if you want to do it in place, I would say whether regardless of like so you can either choose to keep the lower, modify that one in place, or the upper or the higher, but keep that one in place. Doesn't matter which one you do as long as you keep it consistent.
Okay. This way, I don't think you really have to use extra space for like a result array. Okay, I think I'll just choose to modify the lower. So yeah,
Okay.
and then we have to check. Now I think we check for check if check if the it was overlap. So then take is less. Of higher. That's not equal to. Yeah, I think it should be less than or equal to because if it doesn't have to be strictly less than. Because
Okay.
let's
Yeah.
say like what was it? This was 7, I think.
Yep.
This was 7. They both would be still be overlapping. It's just that if this was 8, then it won't be.
Yes.
Okay. And then I think now we just have to modify the lower interval. Oops. Modify lower interval, so then we just take lower do we just reassign it? Okay, so if it is, then say we just take lower to be 3 and now 10. So we take min of that and then max of that. So then the lower would be equal to a tuple, and then it'd be just be min of lower and then max of higher.
Okay.
I believe this would change it because Python is, what was it, passed by reference? So
Are you confident?
I don't know.
You can just use a return array, like a result array for now.
I think this could also work.
Okay.
Well, actually, no, that's not guaranteed because we swapped them before. Yeah, I guess we could just do result array for now. And then I guess you just return at the end. Unless I'm missing anything. I'm just trying to go over edge cases maybe. So I'm guessing like the intervals, the range of these, like the lower and then the higher, like this can be all the way up to like negative infinity, right? So it'll just be like the real numbers.
Yeah.
Okay. Done. Min of lower, max of higher. Yeah, that should be right.
How about I'm looking through the solution right now, and I'm thinking about some edge cases as well. So one
Okay.
that I'm thinking about is if you had like, let's say you have input array of like I'm writing this in the code. So let's
Yeah,
have,
I see.
Okay, I'm just trying to think out loud. So let's do 1 3. Let's keep it easy. 2 4, and then 4 6. Let's just do that. So in this case, the result should be 1 6, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's
But
walk
then I
through
don't
what
do
your
that.
code would do.
Okay. Yeah, well then it'd just be appending, what would it be, 1 4, and then I think what would it go, 1 4 and then 1 6. Or no,
What,
we're
what,
gonna go 1 6. So just go 1 4, and then this one wouldn't work. So then I go here, and then it'd be 2 6. So then it'd be 1 4, and then 2 6. That's it.
yeah.
Yeah, which is not correct. So I guess I have to pass through the result rate again.
Right, yeah. If
Oh,
you
okay,
if you
that's kind of
merge
messy. That
your
is really messy. That is really messy.
right, so the reason we're running into this edge case is because um, after we merge an interval, we put it to res, but the
Mm-hmm.
old interval still exists in the intervals, right? And we're only checking against intervals, and we aren't checking against res in a sense,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like if we
What was it?
compared
1
4 6
3.
against 1 4, then we would be correct.
Then you would append again. But then you have a duplicate, right? So that's not. Is that correct still?
Is what correct?
Because like, okay, let's say like after you do 1 4, you get rid of, what did you get rid of this,
Okay, sure.
and then
Well, presumably you would also change this, right? Like that's still not correct then,
yeah. What was your
right? So then
okay?
you're
What did
saying
you want to say? Like, so
like then
then
well, what I'm saying is that like the issue right now is like you merged this correctly, so your res contains
mm-hmm.
right res equals 1 6 of 1 4, right? And this is correct,
Yeah.
but when you're processing 4 6, you're still looping over intervals,
Mm-hmm.
right? And your intervals does not include 1 4,
Right.
right? So you either need to modify interval somehow, or you need to check your result for this for solution to work.
Mm-hmm.
Or you could do what you said previously, which is just kind of funny, right? So you have this. Right now you would have 2 4, 2 6, right?
No, no, I think that's just that. Okay, that other one would be kind of yeah. Like my initial idea was just like check res again, but then I don't think that would really work. I think you just have like an infinite kind
Well,
of
you wouldn't.
checking all the way down.
You wouldn't. Would it be infinite though? Well, it wouldn't be infinite because you're always like if it's mergeable,
Merging them. Okay.
you would reduce it by 1 every time at least. And if it's not mergeable, then you're complete, right? If it's not mergeable, then you're actually done.
I guess yeah. I guess yeah. You would want a while loop then. Well, it's like okay. Well, nothing has changed so far. I guess something like that.
Right? Like for example, if you had this was like I don't know, let's make it simple. Let's make it like 5 6, right? Then
Unmergeable. So yeah.
this would be unmergeable, so it would be done.
Yeah. If you just yeah. Okay.
Actually, now
I
that I
guess
look
that
at
is
this
one
thing,
way.
given this input, actually, do you actually append 5 6?
No, I don't.
Yes, you
Okay.
might need to have an else condition somewhere.
Yeah. What do I append here then? So it's like both of them don't fit, so then you just append both of them, I guess.
Yeah, it's just saying both of them don't work. Yeah.
Then you just want okay. Let's just say it's like let's say the higher one's correct, so it'd just be 2 4, and this would be 5 6. This would be
Yeah.
2 4. This would be 5 6. So then arguably this one is already in here. So then if I do append both, it'd be 1 4 2 4, and then 5 6. I guess you can do the append both of them, and it'd still be correct as long as I merge res again.
Yeah, if you merge res
So I
again,
just
that'd be correct. Yeah, but you would have excessive, like you have intermediate intervals in the meantime, right?
yeah, this is very inefficient. Yeah.
So what if we're able to kind of take care of this problem in general, right? Like the reason you
Yeah,
have
just
to
some.
compare things ahead of time, like before you can figure out which is higher or lower, is because you don't know which of higher or lower is higher or lower,
Mm-hmm.
right? But can you pre-process it such that you always know that one is higher and one is lower. Is that possible?
Well, you can sort the array before you do anything, I think.
Okay, that seems reasonable. What was the reason? I mean, that we're not doing that right now?
Cause I guess you could swap them. Like that's what you said earlier, I think, just like swap them if there were.
Yes, you can.
Yeah, I was thinking about like sorting the whole list. I don't know what maybe I misinterpreted your swapping.
Yeah, so I think sorting a list is probably going to be good for this case, so that you always know which was like the earlier in the list is lower. What about by
Hmm.
swapping is that given an interval, the first element of the interval, like the start, might not be always a lower element. So you can also, in addition to sorting the list, also swap the interval start and end points such that the first of the start points
Yeah,
is
okay.
always lower.
Is the lower one. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's reasonable. Okay, so then I guess you have to sort it, and then you have to have like some. You have to. I think you have to sort it by some key, right? Because these things are tuples. You can't compare them directly.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, you want to sort by a key.
Uh,
I mean, technically you can compare them directly, but if you can't describe it, then just use a key.
I forgot this works. I don't think this is a parameter. I don't remember.
It is. You pass in
Okay,
lambda.
so that's not okay. Is it two arguments? I don't remember for the lambda.
It's lambda with just one argument, which corresponds
Okay,
to a
it's
given
the
interval.
tuple.
Yes, it's a key which you want to sort by. So how would you want to compare a tuple?
And compare the lower one. Something like that.
Okay.
And then I guess when you loop through.
Well, so now, do you still need a nested for loop? Right. Let's think about what this means now. Right.
So now all of these would be in order. So then the
All
lower
these are
one
in
will always
order.
be.
Right. Yes. They're always in order. And
Okay, and
more
then if they only
importantly,
merge, they only merge if min of the higher one is less than or equal to the max of the lower one. So as long as this is less than that.
right, like you wanna check a couple things here, right? The first thing you wanna check is like inside of this loop, right? I mean, first of all, you know that the lower, right, is gonna be intervals at 0, right? That's guaranteed,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so, well, we can just start at like 1, right? And so you know that higher equals intervals at I, right? So
Yeah.
this is guaranteed now.
Right.
Okay, can you take the logic from here? Right, let's draw this out. So you have 1, 3, and this is going to be
1, 3, 2, 4.
2, 4. Okay, so walk me through it.
And then
So
you.
let's count this out for now.
Okay. So then we just lower, and then I guess do we just reassign lower afterwards? Okay. Yeah. So we just do what we just did earlier, and
Okay,
then
yep.
we can. Okay. Well, first of all, we can do what you just said to swap them, swap the lower element. I'm not sure if that's necessary though.
It's not
Because if you
necessary
just take min
anymore
and max.
because you did it like this, which is very smart.
Yeah. Okay.
But you still have to be smart about how you check it.
Yeah. Okay. So higher equals that lower. And then you just check it again. So yeah, I think just swap if higher is lower, then swap if what was it called? The min. That max of, and then what's it?
Is that I want to wait? Hold on here. So what does that condition mean? Like, what do we mean by swap?
Sorry, I meant merge.
Okay.
Merge if. 'Cause I was legit just looking down here for some
Yeah.
reason. yeah. Then okay, I guess now that we have the sort thing going us for us, would we okay? Would I want to have the result erased still, or can I just modify the lower one now?
So you still want to keep it around just for convenience, and then afterwards you can decide whether or not you want to get rid of it.
All right. And if min of higher, that's this would mean that they're overlapping,
Okay,
and now you would want to append that would be min of the lower, and then it'd be max of the higher.
cool. But we don't
And then
know.
and then you have to append it again. I guess it's another sticky situation. So if they aren't merged, then uh you append both of them.
Let's be careful here. Let's add an
Okay.
invariant. The invariant is that we can only append maximally merged intervals to the result, right? In other words, the lower variable should hold the interval which we're currently trying to merge into, right? Lower, you're currently holding 1, 3 because we want to merge as much as possible into 1, 3.
Yeah.
Okay? So now that we know we want to merge higher, let's update lower to be equal to the union of the two intervals. And
Okay.
then, if we're not able to merge, then we know that lower must be the maximum interval possible, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we can append that to result because that interval we know is final. It must exist in a final array.
Okay.
That would just help us simplify some of the logic here.
Right. Okay. So
So you don't want to append to the result if you're merging. You only want to append to the result if there's something else to merge.
right. Okay. And then we're equal to. Once again, it was min of lower and then max of higher,
Yep.
and then otherwise you actually append.
Yes, because now lower contains the because it's done, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
it's maximally merged now. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And then I think you would want to swap. Okay, which case would you swap?
Well, and then, so after
Lower.
after reapply that, after reappend that, sorry, right? Now we want to update lower. Again, we want to
So
update
then
lower
lower
to
would
be
go
the
to
new.
higher.
Yes, because now higher we want to higher becomes the new lowest interval, right?
Right.
And we
Right.
want to
Okay.
merge things into this new quote unquote higher, what's now lower.
Right. Okay. And then yeah, and then you append lower. Lower equals higher, and then I'm just gonna walk through this case right
Yep.
now. So that's okay. So then 1 3 would it be set to lower? Assuming this sorting goes correctly,
Yeah, that's fine.
then 1 3 goes there, and then higher since we're starting from 1 would be 2 4, and then you take the min of higher would be 2, and then the max of lower which is 3, and then this condition is met. So then you
Yep.
update lower to be 1 and 4, and then
1
you
and 4.
keep on going. And then so now higher would be 5 and
This
6.
is 1 4. This is 5 6. Let's draw it out. Yeah, keep it
Right.
simple. Okay. Yeah, and then
And then so then min of higher is 5, which is
yep,
not less than or equal to 3. But then you
4
just
in
append
that
lower,
case.
1 4, and then lower equals to higher. But then now we're out of the array, I'm pretty sure. Oh, sorry, out of the loop, I'm pretty sure.
Yep, right a loop.
And then so then you have to apply. I think you do one last append, I guess. Huh? I don't know.
After loop or inside the loop.
That's what I'm thinking. Okay, let me think. So then 1 4 is appended, but then 5 6 still remains. Hmm.
Right. So 5 6. 5 6 is in higher. This is not met. So this happens. Right. So we appended 1 4,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and a lower equals 5 6.
Minus 5 6.
Right.
Yeah. But
And
then
then
now we're out of the
we're out
loop.
of the loop because there's no more intervals.
Okay. I'm just not sure if you append lower still, because there might be a case where like Like let's say this is 4 6.
Okay.
This is 4 6, and now this would be 4 6. So let's just say everything is good, and then
Well, that'd be 1 4,
sorry, this would
right?
be 1 4, and then this would be 4 6, and then after this, you'd append this, and then you just never append it, and then so then you're out of it. Oh, I guess yeah, you do want to append it afterwards, because like okay, so in this case,
Yep.
eventually lower would become 1 6, but then you haven't appended anything yet, so then you'll want to append it outside since you updated this. And then in the other case where it's like, okay, this is 5 6, then what was that again? This would be 1 4. So you did append 1 4, but now you updated it lower to higher. So now this would be 5 6,
Yep.
and you haven't appended 5 6. And then once you get out of the loop, you still want to append this 5 6, right? So then you append it right after the loop.
Yep. That's right.
And I think that should be good. Okay.
Cool. Let's
Then
talk
after
about the time and space complexity of this implementation.
that, okay. Well, sorting has a lower bound of big O of n log n. So let's just assume we're using n log n. And then space complexity for sorting, you can either have it as O of 1 or O of n. I think let's just assume the best case here, so it would be O of n. Or sorry, O of n 1, sorry. O of 1. Big O of 1.
How about the average case?
Loop. Sorry?
How about the average case of sorting? Like, do you
Or
know
what?
what the
Space or
sort
time?
for time? Well, for space. Sorry, for space.
Average for
Yeah, like do you
average
know what
space?
this? Yeah, what do you expect this to take?
Oh, that's interesting. Like for sorting, I feel like it really depends. Like usually, because like for different sorting algorithms, you can either have as O of 1
Uh huh.
or O of n. And I think in average case, like it really depends on which one you picked. Like an average case of, let's say, quicksort. I'm pretty sure quicksort is the O of 1 space
Well,
algorithm,
if
and
you
that
don't
is
know what the I mean, do you know what Python uses for list sorting?
I think it's like Tim sort. It's like a combination of merge sort and was it
Yes.
insertion sort. So that would be O of n space.
Yes. Okay, that's
Okay,
fine.
O of n space, and
Yep.
then you have this for loop here that goes through the entire interval, which would be O of n. But then that's oh, and then we have a result array, which is also O of n space complexity.
Hmm.
So then I think in the end you have sorting, which is n log n, and then this is n, so then it just evens out to big O of n log n space, or sorry, big O of n log n of time complexity, and then big O of n space complexity.
Okay. Um. Yeah, nothing to say. I think that's about time for us as well. So let's
Hmm.
call it here and let's go to the after show. How's that sound?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. I just want to hear your thoughts first about how you feel like you did. Highlights, lowlights, anything like that.
Yeah, I think I did not do that well, mainly
Okay.
because I don't think my brain was like half functioning.
Okay.
I think you had to like explain a lot of concepts to me that I feel like should have been pretty like simple to begin with.
Right.
Yeah, just like the interval stuff. It's like, oh yeah, you have to take the min of the high and the max of the lower. It's like once you like drew that out, I guess like drawing out would be a
Yeah.
better way. I thought the
Definitely.
yeah, go ahead.
I do like the drawing. Right. Like you shouldn't shy away from drawing if it's available as a tool.
Hmm.
One thing I wrote in my notes. I didn't write many notes today because I was pretty involved in the interview. But one thing I did write in my notes was that like good diagrams help you understand problems, and also
Right,
importantly, it helps the interviewer understand why you're doing it wrong.
right,
Right?
right.
Like if you're doing something wrong, if you're drawing something wrong in the diagram, the interviewer can pick it up and say, "Oh, I understand where you're making a mistake. I understand your misconception. They can help you out."
Hmm.
Right? Some people are worried that like, oh, they'll see the mistake and they won't help me out. Dude, it doesn't matter. If they're not gonna help you out there, they won't help you out anywhere else either. Okay, so don't solve for the worst case. Solve for the case which you're gonna pass. If you're gonna fail, you're gonna fail anyways. Don't worry about that. Right? So just draw it out.
Hmm.
Okay. Any other
Uh,
notes? Any other comments?
I think yeah, I think you just in this interview, I think you helped me way more than I think a normal interviewer would.
Yes, that's true. Most interviewers, well, so here's the thing. A good interviewer would help you anyways, but they just won't give you the marks for the parts they helped you at. Right?
Yeah.
It's a poor experience for the candidate to sit there thinking about should they swap the variables or not. Okay, that's not like after you struggle about that, I say, okay, in my notes, all right, they don't know how to swap variables or they don't know when to swap variables, and then I'll help you out because I don't learn anything else from watching you sit there trying to swap two intervals, right? So a good interviewer would help you, but they wouldn't give you the credit for that, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, okay, so if that's your kind of thought, I can talk a little bit about that as well. A couple of notes here is I think you were off to a pretty strong start. You were asking some really good clarification questions, right? Some of the stuff about
Hmm.
open and closed intervals, that's a really good one that people miss. About decreasing intervals, that's a good one. Drawing stuff out immediately is a good intuition, right? A couple of
Hmm.
things I wanted to say here is that now this problem this didn't come into play, but I wrote that you should probably take more notes. Okay, some
Hmm.
problems there's going to be a lot of those details that you're going to forget later on. So it's always good to have in writing somewhere some of the key points, the key kind of edge cases that you thought of. So when you go back to test your implementation, you can like you can always reference it. Oh, did I account for that edge case? Did I account for that edge case, etc. So I would say as a mechanism, you should try to take notes.
Okay, so
Okay.
like just like the top of the.
Yeah, just top of the thing as the interviewer is
Okay.
dictating the problem, or even if they copy paste the problem in for you, you still want to write your own notes, or modify what they wrote to add pointers to yourself, right? So
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 add like
just
different stuff like edge cases
yeah,
and
edge
then just like.
cases, quick fire questions, specific like let's say like vocabulary clarification, like interval, closed, open, right? That's a good one.
Hmm.
So I'd say that's something which you should always be looking to be looking to talk about.
Hmm.
Um, Otherwise, I think there's a couple things about implementation as well. So you actually floated the idea of sorting pretty early on, right?
Hmm.
And sorting in this case would have been optimal.
Hmm.
For an interviewer at that point, the signal that they understand is that you have a lot of tools in the toolbox, but you just don't know when to use them, right?
Okay.
Whenever you write a nested for loop to compare every pair of elements, that is just like an objectively inferior way to compare elements in sorting.
Hmm.
Because sorting also compares every pair of elements
Yeah, that's right.
without having to compare every pair of elements. So
Yeah.
that is just a fundamental misunderstanding of what's going on there, right? So whenever you write out a nested for loop
Hmm.
like that, that should be ringing red flags. Well, that should be red flags right
It's
there for
like
yourself, right? You should be stopping yourself and say, oh, hold on a second, I recognize this pattern. Give me a second. I'm gonna think about if I can do this via sorting. Okay,
uh,
because that's
because
gonna
sorting. Okay, yeah, sorting is more optimal.
yes, it is because sorting doesn't actually require you to compare every pair of elements explicitly, right?
Yeah. Okay.
So that's a note there, and I would say in like this is obviously just one example of that we encountered in this interview. I would encourage you to kind of develop that intuition in your own problem solving, right? Like if you're
Hmm.
doing the neat code, whatever you're doing, as you solve a problem, maybe you solve it suboptimally. That's okay. But when you see the optimal answer, you should think to yourself, oh, I wrote it the suboptimal way. That's the optimal way. How can I identify that in the future? Right? Like if I'm doing this sort of pattern, that's not optimal for this. I could do it more efficiently. So just
Right.
start building
Right.
intuition. Like just think very critically about it, right? This is what I mean. Like don't grind it. Just do it like, intelligently, right? Be
Hmm.
very specific about thinking about those kind of things. Because that's a
Hmm.
much more effective way to learn about the patterns than to memorize specific questions, right?
Hmm.
Similarly, this is another high level kind of comment is always think about pre-processing. Right? Always thinking about what it takes to pre-process something. And the reason I bring that up is because that should just be a thing which you think of to minimize the weirdness. I call it the weirdness, like the edge cases of a problem. Right? For
Right.
example, the fact that some intervals can be decreasing. Well, you can just make them all increasing. Right? It's going to
Hmm.
cost you linear pre-processing of the problem, but because you know this problem's at least linear time anyways, that's not going to cost you anything.
Hmm.
Right? So you can just say, oh, hey, you know what? I'm going to pre-process the intervals such as they're all increasing. That's not going to cost me anything extra because it's going to be at minimum linear since they go through the intervals anyways. So I'm just gonna do that
Mm.
and bam, 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 just bang that out. It should take like maybe 10 seconds, 20 seconds to write that, right? Just to kind of swap them if they're minimum or maximum, right?
Yeah, just
Another
like a
reason,
simple for loop.
yeah, exactly. It's very simple. Keep it simple, right?
Okay.
That's gonna save you a lot of mental power later on with thinking about the max and the lower, like these things over here. Okay, that's gonna save you time,
Yeah.
and it's gonna save you mental effort, and it's gonna save you from any bugs.
Okay.
Okay. Um, so just be aware of that. Pre-processing is your friend if you can leverage it. Now sometimes
Okay.
pre-processing might be too expensive, so you can't do it. But just think of it that way, right? If this problem, you know you have to go through the intervals anyways. That's at least minimum time, linear time. So any other linear like problem, like any other linear helpers are not a problem at all.
Mhm.
Other than that, only thing I had left to say was about the time and space. I think you actually got that quite well overall. Um, uh, one slight note I had was about the sorting, right? So you actually knew about Tim sort, right?
Yeah.
Like you actually know about Tim sort. You know that it's theta n or big O n that works too for space, right?
Mhm.
So I think it was a bit weird to talk about a constant space for some algorithms because that's not what's being used here, right? So I think just
Okay.
keep it simple, right? And also we're talking about big O, right? So we're talking about the worst case,
Okay.
right? So worst case in this case would be linear space for the sorting, and that's also why I'm saying when I was talking about earlier, hey, let's not rush to remove the temporary or the result array, right? Let's not rush until we can actually see if that's going to save us time or space, because if you were trying to, in addition to having all the other modifications, in addition to that, you were also trying to optimize for space. That might have been inducing some errors.
Mhm.
Okay, and that wouldn't have been more efficient anyways.
Yeah.
So just keep it in perspective, right? Do the simple stuff first, and then come back later for optimizations.
Mhm.
Okay. Um, that's all the. Oh, I guess some smaller notes. Like I would say, yeah, there's a couple things you might want to just familiarize yourself with a bit more in Python, right? Like the lambda thing. This is correct,
Mhm.
by the way, so you got it right. Um, but it didn't have to be a struggle. It's a bit of a like it might be the interviewer, especially if they're looking to hire for a Python role, they might have some
That's a
reservations,
bad
right?
look.
Right, like yeah, it's a bad luck. Like you don't know what lambdas are, or it's like why is it a struggle to use a lambda here, right? That's a bit weird, right? Also the pass by
Mhm.
reference, that kind of stuff. True, but you want to make sure you get it right. So stuff like that. Like you just want to make sure you look okay, right? It's a confidence thing, right?
Conference. Yeah. Yeah. I
Otherwise, I don't
think
think there's really. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I think I was like more unsure of anything. Cause like I was like probably like 80% sure, but I was like,
Yeah,
am I doing this correct? It's like kind of like second guessing yourself.
yeah, fair. Well, and that's why it matters, right? Is that you have to
Hmm.
be
Yeah.
the stuff you do.
Confident.
You have to be well. Look, if you're just using Python to do interviews and stuff, and the role doesn't really care, that's not really a big deal. But a lot of roles these days they do kind of want Python, right? It might be like a scripting role, data science stuff, or it might be like actually a Python role like Flask or something, right? Then they're gonna care a lot more.
Hmm.
The last thing I'll say, which is a super nitpick, which isn't negative points at all, is that Python does not use timsort. Python used timsort up until 3.11, and then after 3.11, Python uses power sort. So the complexity is the same, but technically speaking, it's not timsort anymore. So if you're actually interviewing for a Python role, just make sure that your information is up to date, or they
Bro,
might
no
go
way they
like,
changed that last second or something. Jesus
well,
Christ.
they're always that's the thing about Python, right? Is or any of these languages is like, yeah, it's important to know the like the high level concepts and ideas, but just be careful about what you're confident with, right?
Hmm.
So yeah, but they're not. But even for someone who knows that, they'll still be impressed. Oh, the student they understand Tim sort. That's pretty good, right? No one's gonna go like, oh, this person didn't know his power sort. That's blah blah blah. So yeah, but anyways, that's all from me. I want to leave 5 minutes for you to ask any questions you have. Anything about this particular session or about interviewing in general, I'm all ears.
All right. I think my first thought was just like being like in the moment, like in the hot seat, like just thinking
Yeah.
out loud. I don't think that's really a strength of mine
Mm-hmm.
because I think like throughout the interview, I'm not sure if you noticed or not. I was just trying to just like kind of went like silent a couple times, just like trying to
Yes.
think like how to approach this problem. And then I think that kind of like lowered the rapport of the interviewer and I. So I'm not sure like how you like approach like thinking out loud.
Yeah, there's a couple. I mean, first of all, thanks for calling that out. That is true. Um, that can be viewed as a bit of a negative thing, but I will say that most interviewers won't dock you too many points there, right?
Okay.
I would say there's a couple things you can do just immediately that really helps the situation. The first is to acknowledge it, right? Say, hey, I need a moment to think right now. I'm gonna just just focus on this for a minute. Just give me. I'll be back in like a minute. I'm gonna just really kind of focus on that, right? Just set the
Mm-hmm.
expectation, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's one part of it. Because then if you're going silent for a minute, the interviewer goes like, you know what? I won't disturb him. He's trying to think of something right now. I'm gonna give him a moment, right?
Right.
Otherwise, they might think, oh, this person's stuck. They don't know what's going on. I better jump in and help,
Mm-hmm.
right? So the first thing I'd say is set the expectation.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's probably the most important part. The second part is a skill that I think is helpful to develop, which is thinking out loud, right?
Mm-hmm.
Think like, oh, hey, I just saw this edge case with the intervals being swapped. I'm gonna just draw out this really quick example and just see what happens if I do it the other way around, right? So just very very simply going through and showing the interviewer thought process can help. Okay, now I understand that's easier said than done. I know that. Okay, I've been there too.
Yeah.
But I think that's a skill you can practice by yourself, right? Like you don't even
Mm-hmm.
need anyone in the room. Like you can just when you do Leetcode, just talk about it, right? Just talk. Just start talking, and then have your own feedback loop. Just say, oh well, I just realized I was talking about intervals, but that doesn't matter. I need to talk about sorting. Sorting is what matters, right? So
Mm-hmm.
just catch yourself, right? Catch yourself there. So you
Mm-hmm.
can practice that by yourself. That's effective, and then you can practice it with your friends. Like you don't need to have me in the room. You can just have other friends who don't know how to do Leetcode. That's okay too, right? Just have other
Yeah.
friends
Like
read
sit there
you
and like.
just verbatim a Leetcode prompt. Don't be fancy. Don't be smart. Just read it verbatim a Leetcode prompt, and then just have you start thinking. Right?
Uh.
You don't really need skill to prompt someone for that. Like you just need someone in
Uh-huh.
the room to bounce ideas off of. So you start by practicing by yourself, and then practicing with some friends, and then practicing and then go and get in some more box or something. Right?
Mm-hmm.
But the skill here does not depend on me. Right?
Mm-hmm.
You can get feedback from other people, just anyone else who understands Leetcode, about what they thought about your thought process.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say that's a very very easily practicable skill. So
Mm-hmm.
start on that. So start there. Start easy.
Okay. So like when interviewers are looking for like a thought process, are they looking for like an easy to follow one or like more of like an intuitive one
Um,
where it's just like
there's two kind of problems. So now we're getting a bit advanced. Okay. There's two kind of problems. There's a kind of problem in which you're expected to get the correct solution. By
yeah.
correct, I mean optimal slash good code. For those,
Yeah.
they don't care about your thought process. They just want to think, okay, yeah, that's about right. Yeah, okay. No, he's a bit off there. Oh, no, he's fine. Right? That's what they care about. Now, there's other problems in which you cannot reasonably get the optimal solution. That's not the goal. The goal
Okay.
is for you to understand why the problem is difficult, for you to understand what are the components of the problem, what is reasonably accomplishable, what are the reasonable trade-offs. Like for example, oh hey, this problem is pretty hard. I don't think I could optimize for space at all. Can I just
Mm-hmm.
sacrifice the space complexity in general? Is it okay if I just use some more room here? Right? Okay, that's very good. This person understood that there's too many aspects of this problem to solve. They're thinking
Mm-hmm.
out loud. They communicated to me that they don't think they can do a certain aspect. That's totally cool. Let's see what we can do. So
Mm-hmm.
for some of those problems, then it's very critical to have the thought process. Because if you just open up, say, yeah, this problem's too hard. I can't do the space optimization. Like, true, but like that was not prompted. That was not justified,
Mm-hmm.
right? You know you have to. It depends on the problem. Okay, so
Okay.
I can't give a clear answer on that one.
Okay.
Cool. Last minute. Anything else you want to bring up?
Um, I think yeah, you just talked about like some like small intuitions that can help you a lot. Like the double for loop is usually worse than just sorting it,
Yeah.
and then also with the other one with like, okay, the intervals is like n items long, right? So when you want to merge them, like eventually you have to merge all of them, right? Or at least check all of them, which
Yes.
would also be
Yes.
O of n. So then I'm guessing like developing this intuition probably comes through practice, right?
It comes from practice. It also comes from like one thing is to practice by yourself, like do lead codes. Another
Yeah.
thing is to um, is to watch other people do interviews and say, oh, They just made a really smart jump there. How did they do it? Could have I done the same? So it's a lot of reflection. So practice,
Hmm.
reflection, and then I would say
Okay.
another general thing is to study fundamentals, right? Like for
Okay.
example, earlier today we said, hey, we won't touch some certain topics, and that's okay. But the truth
Hmm.
is, in some of the more advanced topics, they're gonna require a fundamental understanding of some of the prior topics, right?
Hmm.
Like you can't do graphs without doing trees, right?
Right.
That's just how it works. So I would say, whenever you're feeling like, oh, I'm really struggling to form intuition on graphs, okay, that's fine. That's hard. That's normal. Start a step back, right? Make sure your trees are rock solid. Make sure your BFS, DFS basic traversals are rock solid, right?
Yeah.
So it's a case of like, hey, don't always try to gun for the hardest thing. Start with the basics if you have to. It's okay.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay. Well, that's all the time we have for today. Thanks for coming on, Daniel.
Yep.
Really appreciate that.
Yeah,
If
thanks
you have
for
any
taking
questions, you
this
can
interview.
feel free to just DM me on Discord after, and we can have a chat. But thank you very much for participating. Appreciate it. Take care.
Yeah, thanks for taking the time to have me.
All right. That was a mock interview. When just wrapped it up here. So I'm gonna start with the resume review right now. What the hell? Figma. How do you spell that shit? All right. Okay, my friends. Let me go ahead and find my tabs. Review, refresh, boom. Okay. So, all right. So today is 17th. We got 2 submissions here. I'm gonna get in here and start right away. Got planning for about 30 minutes or so of this today, so we'll see how we do. All right, first one looks fine. All right, this person says 300 apps, 3 interviews, 0 offers for summer, 100 apps, 1 interview so far for fall. Wondering if there's anything obvious and improve feedback on projects. Okay, makes sense. Let's see. Looking for a first internship, so I'm applying to all sorts of positions, but I prefer back and infra, maybe full stack. All right, cool. Let's take a look. Okay, we got university here. Oh, out of 12, that's a new one. Haven't seen that. Data, okay. Club affiliations. Oh, GSOC, we have a GSOC here. This is ongoing. Okay. Building. So this is still new, right? This is still new, obviously. So we'll come back to that maybe in a couple months. This is a undergrad research assistant. Develop tooling, log UI events, CSV, generate automatic reports, UI Python pandas. Develop tooling to log UI events to CSV files. So UI events in this case, is this in front end? I can't tell what framework's being used here. Maybe like React or something. But okay. Create a Python tool for parsing and comparing medical images, leveraging NumPy. For assessing accuracy of 10 plus physicians, reducing cardiac radio ablation processing time 92%. Oh, that's a very big. I would say that this number is actually very, very relevant. I would put this in the front if you can, honestly. I think it's doing a bit of a disservice to put at the end. I would say, for something like create a Python tool for blah 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 blah, reducing processing time by 90% by leveraging NumPy, and then I think you put it near the front. That's good. Developed and tested touch responsive websites for large impact displays. This point feels a bit weak. I think if I were you, I would focus on the develop part. So what special considerations do you have to make to develop websites for these things? That could be interesting to talk about. I don't think testing this is particularly relevant. So if you can elaborate on the develop part and the considerations, I think that'd be good. All right, Rocketry Club, Python scripts, real-time telemetry data, Docker. Okay, sure. I to parse real-time telemetry data for live display React-based control panel. Okay. So it's a bit of a nitpick here, but what I want to call out here, and I will say this is a nitpick, okay, is you say you wrote Python scripts, but also at the end you said this is a React-based control panel, right? If you also wrote the React control panel, I would also emphasize that. Right now, it's ambiguous if you also wrote a control panel in React, or your data is just being displayed in a control panel, and the control panel happens to be written in React. If it's a first condition, then I would say, yeah, lean into it. Talk about your React control panel. What libraries do you use to display that? If it's a second case where you had nothing to do with the control panel, I would get rid of the React-based part. That's not relevant to your point, basically. Docker's cool, that's fine. Okay, let me see. Projects, stuff over here, blah, blah. File reduction, that's good. YouTube, okay. OAuth, okay, sure. Budgetify, ORM, hibernates, okay. Yeah, I would quantify that. Code garbage. I would not put this for a project. Okay. Leadership, that's fine. That's always good. That's fine. Okay. I would say a couple things. Yeah. So I mean, first of all, yeah, I agree. Your response rate's a bit low. It's not like crazy low, but it is a bit low, right? 100 to 1, 300 to 3. So you're getting like a 1% interview rate. That's pretty low. I would say, I would expect maybe like 2 to 5% probably, maybe 2-3% if it's your first internship, but 1% is a bit low. You're going for mostly backend infra. Now I can see that you don't have. I don't think you have a single front end here, right? If I'm not going crazy, you have React over here, so maybe you did do the React here. But I would say there's a lot of you're closing a lot of doors if you don't display like full stack skills. Okay, so I would say for your first internship, don't be picky about it, right? Don't be picky about it. Aim for a full stack, right? Aiming for full stack gives you a lot more opportunity because, to be frank, your products are okay. Like, I don't see anything that's like wrong with this. You have some stuff here. This is your front end product here. It exists. It's okay, right? Lead into the full stack part a bit more, and then as you get more experience, you have more leverage. Then you can specialize into backend infra, right? So I'd say this is really like a targeting thing. I think the resume is fine. It's a targeting thing. Focus on that, and then come back with more specific front end feedback. I would also say, let's say you don't like my advice. Let's say, oh, you know what? Fuck this guy. I really want to do backend infra. Okay, that's okay. If you want to do backend infra, you need a lot more like standout products in terms of backend infra, right? So first thing I would say is that backend infra are different. That's the first thing I'll say. Now you have some backend here, right? You have some backend. You have I saw Spring. Here's Spring. You have Flask. What else do you have? You have Node. I saw Node somewhere. I can't find it. Doesn't matter. So you have some backend, but the backend here that I've seen is just very basic backend, right? It's a pretty standard backend, routing logic, basic API, basic database usage, right? That's not a standout backend. If you want to do some more standout backend stuff, especially for a first internship, you better have something cool, right? It could be a lot of performance tuning. It could be some really novel integration, right? But you can't just like have a regular standard backend that's like a popular framework, attach a regular database onto it, and then, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, that's a backend, but that's not impressive. So I'd say adjust your expectations, go full stack, or really focus on the backend projects and go deep into that. And also, yeah, infra as well, right? Like you had some infra here, right? Where I saw AWS here somewhere. Where is it? Oh, here it is. Yeah, so you have AWS. That's great. But again, that's not really anything special, right? For example, one thing that I want to see, if you want to talk a lot more about infra, I want to see bigger AWS deployments. I want to see more usage of AWS services, right? You have Docker here. Where's EKS? Right, I saw you have Kubernetes too. Was it you Kubernetes? Yeah, Kubernetes, right? You have some Kubernetes experience. EKS, right? EKS is knocking on the door. So I'd say there is some room for employment here. There is some room for employment here, improvement here. But the resume itself, I think, is fine. I am picking out some details here because I think that it can be improved with a small bit of detail. Submit a resume. Yeah. I mean, you're in line, whatever the line is. Can you join the conversation? No, you cannot, and you cannot for two reasons. One, it's a waste of time. It's a lot of time if everyone joins. And the second thing is because the reviewer of your resume does not care about what you have to say about it. If your resume does not stand by itself, that's an issue with the resume. This person has a comment. You had a review 2 weeks ago. Lol. What's so funny there, huh? No, I'm kidding. But I made some changes since then. Love to look it over. No problem. You can skip project section. My experience has changed. Okay. Aim for sweet. Love for term GPA, CGPA. Okay. All right. Cool. Yeah, I'd say okay. The truth about GPAs is that no one cares about any of that. There's a handful of companies and like some sectors like finance care, but put whatever GPA you want to put on it. You know, the truth is that no one really cares. So if you want to put term on it, that's cool. That's cool. Right. So we're going to experience. Okay, let's go. So yeah, this one looks familiar. All right. Export data analysis, 40,000 points, energy features, blah, blah, yeah. HVAC stay over 30% energy. Okay, that's good. Okay. See, so this is another nit. Another nit is I would put the 50%, I would put the data a bit close to the front. So I'd say architected is a strong word, whatever. Architected reinforcement learning framework for HVAC optimization, reducing energy costs by 50%. Using stable baselines 3, whatever that is, right? So I would just frame that a bit because over here, for example, you have the data point up front, right? So keep it a bit consistent. I think it's better to keep the data up front if possible. So small detail there. Otherwise, yeah, that looks fine. Let's take a look here. React.js, blah blah blah. Kubernetes 5 plus. Okay, blah blah. Okay, you have a test point here. Do you have test points anywhere else? Wait, where's your? I will put jest over here. I'll put jest. 85% okay, yeah. So personally, again, I'm not really a big fan of the unit test points. Now I'm looking at your experience. I think maybe let's keep it on for now. Right? Let's keep it on here for now. But you have a lot of this has 4 points. You got 4 points here. Right? When you get to the 5-point kind of range, I would say drop the unit test and just move it down over here. Okay. Right now, I think you still need some experience, so I think it's okay to kind of beef it up like that. But I'd say, you know, that's the first thing to go. Okay. Same with the agile. I will put the agile at the bottom. Right? Agile is the least important thing here, so put that at the bottom. That's fine. This point is also fine. So some deployment here. Yeah, that's fine. Spearhead migration, blah blah. 12% downtime. Okay. Load cloud for transaction data up. Okay. Okay, this is fine. I'd say that this little tail here doesn't really make sense. It's not clear to me why Cloudflare would add any difficulty in integrating with DigitalOcean infrastructure. So I'd say that feels a bit weird. I think what you might be talking about might be, and I'm really speculating here, it might be like there might be some special DNS stuff that DigitalOcean does that you have to like update. But it's not clear what this is. I think it's a bit confusing. I would get rid of that little detail. But yeah, there's a quick feedback. Hopefully that helps. Come back again in 2 weeks, right? Come back again. That's okay. Come back. All right. This guy said, trying to get full-time new grad, going for backend DevOps. Need help with bullet points mainly. Won't be in a chat to watch live. Go through video once post. Thank you so much. You're welcome. So you're looking for the bullet points mainly. Okay, no problem. Let me do a quick scan. Okay. 2022, 4, 5. Okay. Project skills. Okay. All right. So mostly bullet points. Going for backend. All right. What's going on here? This is backend. Okay. Yeah. So so yeah, these points need work. Again. So this guy had a pretty good, like, this is a pretty standard format, right? First of all, the first point of any of these experiences should be a summary of what you've done, roughly speaking. Now, I know sometimes, for example, for contracting positions, there might not be a theme for what you do, so maybe skip those. But if there is a theme for what you've done, you've worked in the same team, you worked in the same product, the first point should be a summary. That's a guideline, okay? The second thing is, whenever you want to talk about a point, see, this got a good example. I can highlight it here, right? Let's use blue. Talk about what you did, right? Maybe it's over here. So what you did, right? A quantitative data point for what happened, like what was the outcome, and then if it's impressive, you can talk about like how. So what, how much, and how. Like what, what the outcome was, and then the how. So that is a general framework for how you should be structuring your points. So I'd say right now your points are a bit too far off from that. Okay, there's some stuff here which I think are okay. Like there's some points are peaking out. But in general, I think you need to follow this framework much more tightly because it's going to help the reader more easily determine what your strengths are. I'll give you an example here as well. Look at this point here, right? Like test automation intern, some stuff. That's good. Some test stuff. That's good. But over here, see this is not quantified, right? This is not quantified. So for example, this is a case where they say, oh, you know what? You were able to do stuff, but they weren't able to tell how well you can do it. Right? If you can quantify the speed up, that would be much more impressive. So that's an example of what's going on there, right? I'll give another example. Over here, this is good. This right here is a pretty good point because you describe what you did, right? And you describe the outcome. So this I think is a good point. But this is hit or miss. For example, in your first experience here, there's really not that many there's not that many points. I don't think there's a single point here actually that really kind of follows that format. So I would say kind of rework the points to make sure that the majority of them follow the format, and the ones that don't are able to stand up by themselves. Because otherwise, it's going to be disjointed and it won't have the right kind of flow. So I'd say rework that, come back in a couple weeks, see how it does. All right, next. All right. Okay. This guy said, recent grad looking full-time roles, full stack, back end, front end. Resume is mostly back end, full stack focused. Been applying for a while, 4 or 5 months. Only heard back from 2 interviews. Going with the basics, making sure resume cover letter. Okay. You are in Canada. Okay. So are you implying that you have a different focus resume? But we'll see about that. We'll see if you have the points to back that up. 2 interviews. I don't have a ratio there. I don't know what it is. Let me look at your stuff here. And then we'll go to there. Okay. Okay. So headers removed. That's cool. This is a while ago now. Okay, so this is 2 years ago. Oh wait, what? Oh, okay. So you have reverse chronological. Okay. I would say generally speaking, put chronological. So like so put the newest at the top, right? So put it reverse chronological instead of the regular chronological. Okay, so freelance from for like a year and a half now. Okay, so this has been quite a while, almost 2 years. Okay. All right. Okay. 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 Some links to C# frameworks. It's .NET. Azure. Okay. I'll put dates there. Put dates. Okay. Okay. So yeah, the first thing I've seen here is okay. So you have some front end experience, right over here, and you have React Native over here. So, but I couldn't really tell what this product is, to be honest. This seems like it's mostly still backend work you've done here. Like you're talking about, for example, processing time, cloud architecture, and Firebase. So I feel like React Native here is like an afterthought. It's very, very barely front end in this case. You have React.js over here and here. This seems to be like a pretty like basic kind of website. That's okay. Again, it's leveraging a lot. So over here, this one for example, these are basic websites. A lot of stuff based on like the Firebase, or a lot of Firebase here. So my overall impression is that a lot of the more recent stuff you've done are using the like all-in-one backends, I call them, right? All-in-one backends. And the one that you had the one you have that has a solid backend over here I've seen is you have like a real ASP.NET backend. You're using the entity framework stuff. You're using Link. That's pretty cool. This is I feel like the most relevant backend experience here out of all of the experiences that you have. I did notice you have Flask over here. Um, I'm not really sure exactly the role Flask played here. It seems like you played a role a lot more in the integrations piece than with actually writing Flask in the back end. Flask, by the way, is not super popular these days. It's still totally usable. Like, it's fine. But I'd say, generally speaking, if you're going for those backend roles, you want more experience in actual backend technology and not Firebase, right? Firebase is a shortcut that you can use to make things work, but it demonstrates no skills, right? The goal of resume is to demonstrate skills. You're not gonna be hired to write Firebase for a company, right? That's not what they're using. That like no one is using Firebase in production. Okay, so for the purpose of employment, I think it's really important to also showcase like skills in using real backends. Okay, so I think that's probably the biggest like high level feedback I'll give to this resume is yes, a lot of this is productive and I can see you've shipped stuff, right? That's good. But also, in addition to shipping stuff, I want to make sure that you're productive in more modern technologies too. And by modern, I don't mean like the new Next.js fads. I don't mean that. I mean like modern implementations using like solid technologies. And like .NET is totally fine. .NET is totally valid, right? I love .NET. How can I increase my skills to show on the resume without having a job? I'm not sure I understand what that means. How can I increase my skills? So you're asking how to learn more skills? I mean, learn more skills by learning more skills. So you know yourself best. I recommend most students. Well, you're not a student anymore, right? What are you? Yeah, so you're not a student anymore. But I recommend most people learn skills by forcing themselves to make a project that requires a certain skill. And after you have that project going, then of course you can put in the resume. Right? So I'd say that's one thing which I would like to see more of. Right? For example, make a project that's backend focused. Then you can replace one of these two, right? Like these two projects do not have a backend, right? Oh, wait, am I wrong? Let me see. No, this is a chatbot. This has no backend, right? This is some. What is this? This is like a hackathon project or something, right? Like this is not a backend. This is not infra, and it's also not front end. I don't know what this is. Similarly, like this one you have some stuff, right? You have a front end in Vue. You're deploying it via Docker, right? That makes sense. That's maybe a little bit of infra, but it's barely any infra and it's not really backend either. So I would say again, like develop some backend skills, make some projects with them, or maybe make just one project with them. Like make a single good project, and then put it in the project section instead, because neither of these two projects contribute to your goal of backend and infra. Or no, so we're infra. No, you're not. Oh no, you're sorry. You're not infra. You are backend, right? These two projects have no backend, right? There's no backend here, so I'd say yeah, like the first thing to go, like get rid of these two projects, put a backend project on. I think that's the most topical feedback I can give on that. All right, last one for the day. All right, full stack backend internships. I know it's bad, but what can I do to land something with no experience? Well, don't say it's bad yet, okay? Don't say it's bad. I haven't seen it yet. Okay, so you're going for full stack backend internships. No experience. Okay, I see. Oh, you Ottawa, nice. Hello from the other side of the country. We have. You're not graduating that soon. You're still coming up. Okay. Coursework, yeah. So coursework is totally okay to put on for no experience. That's fine. Projects, let me take a look. Spring Boot, okay. I like what I see so far. React.js, Spring Boot, Postgres, very standard stuff. Okay, let's take a look. Full stack web app, create. Okay. Core features, use that credit. Okay. Okay. Let me just have a look at this one as well. Property management app. This is an Android app. Okay. Between users for efficient property management. Okay. Maybe I'm a bit stupid here, and I don't know how property management works. I don't. Why does it need to be real time? I don't know, but that's cool to have as a feature. But maybe I wouldn't frame it as like as being efficient for property management. But that's okay. Implemented features for user authentication. Probably okay. That's cool. Chef bots, AI stuff. Okay, and then we have extracurricular, Black STEM Student Association. This is a representative. Okay, okay. Advocate for all Black students. Educate. Okay, okay. Career building opportunities. Okay, that's nice. This is present. This is everything is on. Okay, okay. And then freelance math tutor, lessons plans, customer service rep. Okay, yeah. So I would say obviously the most important thing for these kind of resumes are the projects. Right now, hopefully that's not news. But if that news, then maybe take some notes here. But the main thing here again is what projects are you going to be working on? So you said you want to do back end. Totally cool. I also love back end or full stack, right? You can't close your doors this early. Like you have to be prepared with the right set of technologies, so you don't get eliminated off the bat, right? And so that means basic knowledge in a full stack stack, right? So what you have here, you have backend Java, front end React. That's pretty good. I would diversify that a little bit and do another project in probably Node backend, React front end. Because right now, a lot of people who are hiring like first year, second years, like maybe earlier career, third years even, they just want someone with like the basic chops to kind of do some code. So I would say you want to diversify a little bit, get Node on the resume, right? Consider getting the MERN stack, right? MERN, MongoDB, Express, or React and Node, right? Maybe do a basic project in that regard, okay? And I say that again because a lot of the differentiating factor for early career people is not necessarily depth of knowledge, but just does the knowledge exist? So that's where I would encourage you to kind of expand and spend your time. Okay. In addition to that, you should be thinking about building one good project, like putting one project in that you're passionate about. Maybe for example you're passionate about. I mean, this sounds a bit like a scroll project to be completely honest with you, but if you find one project that you can be passionate about and spend a lot of time on it. And I don't mean like 10 hours a day. No, I mean like maybe a couple hours here and there every week, but you work on it over the course of like an entire year. And you really want to develop that one project to be really, really comprehensive. Like it has a solid website that I can click on your resume and I'm like, oh wow, this website, okay, not bad, right? Doesn't have to be fancy. It just has to like look reasonable, right? It's like, okay, this person knows how to use CSS. That's pretty good, right? I want to see some basic functionality. Like you have, for example, here you have login, right? Some login. That's good. I want to see, for example, as you learn more and more about security, maybe you have like a 2FA feature, maybe a login with Google, OAuth, Authy, something like that. That could be really cool, right? And then you learn about APIs. Over here, you have basic CRUD operations. I like that. That's good. But I want to have some more stuff, right? How about paginated APIs, right? How about lazy loading APIs? Right? How about cached APIs? What if you want to host it, right? So as you get more and more, knowledgeable about certain topics, you want to reflect that knowledge in that one really good app you have or one really good project you have, right? So yes, for the short term, get the technologies on the resume, right? Like that's going to help the employment the most. But also for long-term employment, you want to demonstrate proficiency in the stack. So also think about that in the long term, right? Have that stewing in the back of your mind. There you go. All right. Time for another. Well, since you asked so nicely by saying please, I will. Okay, there's 2 more resumes here, so these are the actual last 2 I'll go to because we're out of time. And I will just very quickly scan these 2 and give you like a 10-second hiring manager feedback. All right, this person said what? This person said, current resume full stack, looking to switch to data engineering, looking towards AWS cert. I have decent ETL project, need to post a resume. Any suggestions? Current resume, okay. AWS cert for data science. I'm not a data scientist, so you might want to ask some data science groups for that one. I don't think most people do data science certs though, but I might be wrong. A lot of affiliations. That's not data science. What is this? I don't think that's data science either. I don't know what the hell that is. Okay, this is some engineering there. This is front end, right? Front end, back end, database. What's your back end? No, Node Express. Oh, this is MERN. Great. This is the MERN stack I'm talking about. Okay, great. Full stack, but that's not data science. Stock market, scikit, lowercase. Okay. This does not stand out. I think you need to have, if you're gonna do, because like I'll be honest with you, I can go to YouTube right now and I can find 100 videos talking about how to make a stock market prediction dashboard. Okay, like I think if you want to stand out and go for a data engineering role, you need to make something which is like different, or it can be the same but better. Right? It can be the same or better, because right now the like the issue is a lot of these are very generic and they don't really help you stand out. Okay, full stack SaaS. This is just full stack. Okay, so yeah, if you have an ETL project, then absolutely you have to put it on, right? In fact, I'm not really sure what the hesitation is. Like, there's no data science on this resume at all, actually, or data engineering. This you can argue is a bit of data engineering. That's not data engineering. So I would say, yeah, absolutely stick that on. I don't know what the hesitation is. All right. This guy. All right. This guy's comment is hoping for full stack big tech F500. Love it, love it. Okay, let's have a look. Best use to go product hackathon. Teams are on a list. Ooh. Okay, I see. Boom, 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 boom. Hugo. People see this Hugo? Jupiter. Okay, Firebase. Okay, Veet. Okay. Pretty good spread there. Let's take a look. This is present. Okay, so probably an 8-month guy. Okay. Yeah, pretty standard. UTA. 3 lines for that. Okay, you know what? This is fine. Troubleshot. Is that actually the passes for troubleshoot? I actually don't know if that's the right word. That might be though. You might just double check on that. Okay. What is this? Okay, that's fine. Okay, the Chrome extension, blah 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 blah. For superior reasoning, yeah, I would say quantify that. Repairify. I mean, it's a hackathon. No one really cares, but I would still say quantify that. Repairify, sustainability hackathon, Bedrock, Lambda. Okay, sure. What is this? Reduce flash latency, fine tuning. Okay. There's a lot of AI stuff here, my guy. You're going for what? You're going for full stack big tech. Okay. So this almost feels like these products almost feel like it's like a ML resume or something, or like a AI resume. I would say you're still missing the basics. Like I want to see, like you have over here. I guess this is the basic. I want to see a full stack web app. Okay. Full stack web app is sort of like the gateway. It's like a check mark. Okay. Now this is a full stack web app. To be clear, I'm not saying otherwise. You have React. You have a backend. Firebase is a backend. Is a bit of a shortcut. I would say like pick one of these projects, either this one or this one, doesn't matter, and really talk about it and talk about it and or build on it more. Right? Like the thing is, these 2 projects are completely worthless for a full stack. I'm sorry, like I have to say it, okay? Like imagine someone trying to hire you for full stack. Are these skills transferable? Like Chrome extension, maybe some like basic JavaScript, that's transferable. Doing Llama, that's not, no one cares about that. I'll be 100% honest. Leveraging ChatGPT APIs, that's also not a full stack skill, right? Like if you look at it, people can see this and say, oh, this person likes AI. Is this employable? No, right? Same with this thing, right? Chatbot, okay, that's cool. This one you can talk about, you did a bit of AWS deployments, bit of maybe some cloud work. That's still a bit of a stretch, to be honest with you. So I'd say the basics are still missing. You want to have a full stack web app or some other way to demonstrate full stack proficiency. Okay, start with that and then think about working these into it. Okay, I will give another piece of feedback because I'm so kind. Obviously you like AI, right? AI is great. Think about how you can maybe expand upon this project. I mean, like obviously maybe like this one more. I don't care what you like more. Maybe I'll pick this one out of random. Okay, start with this project as a hackathon, but you can still work on it. Right? I know it's over, but you can still work on it. Work on it by building, in this case, like what is this? This is a Chrome extension. Work on it by building a backend, adding a login system, adding recommendation system in the back, add a app, adds notification system, right? So you can turn a project you really like and augment it to become a full stack web app. So you can do it that way too, right? But one way or another, I think that what will really elevate this is just giving the interviewer or giving the hiring manager confidence that you have the full stack skills. All right, that is all the time we have for today. So I will see you guys in the future.